Hello, everybody, and welcome to our team Zoom. My name is Harlequin Murray, and I am the co-host this evening. And I have the honor and privilege of welcoming everybody to the call or to our Zoom, as well as introducing our host for the evening, who is none other than our senior team leader and my personal enroller. But the reason why I got into DAC is because of Ellen Winn. It's all her fault. And anyways, she introduced me to DAC about 4 years ago, and it took me a year to decide to join. So sometimes that'll happen. But just to give you a little bit of background for those of you who are first timers here, first off, welcome to you. We're glad you joined us, and we hope that you find a lot of wonderful things that you enjoy with DAC. But a little bit about Ellen. She originally grew up on a farm in Dallas, Georgia, not Texas. It's just outside of Atlanta, and it's a beautiful property. I've been there multiple times. But when she started going out into the work world, she worked in the restaurant industry and did that for quite a while. And she actually worked her way up. She was a training manager and a regional manager, I believe it was, for Domino's Pizza. And she worked with them for several years. And then she decided that she wanted to branch out on her own, and she started her own restaurant, her own pizza restaurant. She actually had 2 locations that were not affiliated with Domino's, but she has been a business owner ever since. She currently has a couple of different businesses, but I met her, gosh, it's been about 17 years ago now, 17 or 18. And I met her, she was working with a network marketing company, and she was actually the national training director for them. And she was my upline in that organization as well. But she's got a lot of experience training and motivating and teaching people in the network marketing industry. And we are very fortunate to have that wealth of knowledge. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our team leader. And she's a AD or area director with David Allen Capital, as well as a 1-star in our Youngevity comp plan, which if you don't know what that means, you need to go and look at it in the Agent Resource Center. But without further ado, Miss Ellen Winn.
Thank you, Harlequin. Guys, you just heard from our Agent of the Month, Harlequin Murray. If you did not hear her interview last Friday, you need to go listen. It was awesome. She had a wealth of information and knowledge to share with you all. So thank you, Harlequin. I'm glad that you said yes, even though it took you a year to decide to join DAC. It's great having you here, and you're such an asset to my whole organization and to DAC. So thank you for that warm introduction. I appreciate you very much. Guys, if this is your first time, welcome. We do this Zoom every Monday. I started this 2 years ago now, and we've been doing it consistently every Monday, unless there's a holiday that everybody is out doing their own thing where they wouldn't show up. So this is intended kind of as a recap sometimes as to what's been going on in the week, but we kind of take a different lesson each week and touch on different subjects. So we will do that tonight, but I want to get us kicked off with a slideshow with some team recognition like we always start with. Got a couple of funding testimonials, and then we'll get into the message tonight. Okay, so let me get our screen share started here. If I can find the right slides. I think I have it. I just don't have the right slide up yet. There we go. Okay. Should be on the right slide there.
You're good.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so team recognition, excuse me. And this is for the week of August the 4th through August the 10th, our team recruiting leaderboard. I like to preface this while we're talking about recruiting. The growth of David Allen Capital is dependent on us building agent teams, building a network of independent agents. DAC has a minimal office staff, and that office staff is there to support our customers. And we also have agent support. They don't have hundreds or thousands of sales members on staff. We are the independent sales force. So it's important that we're building organizations, those of you that want to build, and leverage your income, leveraging by helping other people be successful in David Allen Capital. When they're successful, if you're building and promoting through the plan, then you're actually able to share in their revenue that gets earned as their enroller or as a team leader. So I want to get into our leaderboard for the week. Before I do that, we had 89 people who had at least one recruit last week, and a total of 140 new agents joined the team. We're kind of going down a little bit. I know that school has just started back. So those of you that are parents with us, maybe you're focused more on your kids right now and getting them started back to school, get them off to the right start as you're in that little hiatus period with DAC and the recruiting. But I look to see those numbers start creeping back up in the coming weeks from what we were doing in the past. Okay, so in first place, we had a two-way tie. We had Rosina Marie Hayes and Eric Johnson tied in first place with 8 new agent recruits each. In second place, we had Lavonda Goodman with 7 new recruits. In third place, we had a 3-way tie, each with 5 new agent recruits. That's Shunisi Leftridge, Latoria Porter, Jamel Reed. In fourth place, we had a 4-way tie, each with 3 new agent recruits, and that's Christopher Delgado, Sharisi Thomas, Angelica Bora, and Katina Willis. Congratulations to all of you on the left side of the leaderboard there, and each with 2 new agent recruits tied. In fifth place, we had Curtis Brown, Rolf Krupt, Kim French, Tamila Griffin Bay, Daytron Kennedy, Raven Mark, Terrell Proctor, Ashley Wesson, Aretha Williams, Tracy Williams, and Makisha Young Brown. So congratulations to everyone who made the leaderboard. We had dozens of people that had 1 new agent recruit. We're not going to go through all of those. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is our funding spotlight. We just went through, I'm going to go back up here. Makisha Young Brown is on the recruiting leaderboard, and she's really making a lot of headway with her funding. Let's see. Has she made it on the Zoom with us here, Harlequin?
I'm not seeing her.
Okay. And I have, let's see, she was going to come on and do a funding spotlight. And we also have Carlene. Carlene, if you have logged on, I know you told me last week that you would be happy to do a testimonial this week. If you made it back, she had a funding for $20,000 about 3 weeks ago. And because of being out of country, I waited to be able to spotlight her. There she is.
I think she's there.
Yeah, I see her. Carlene, if you're there, you want to raise your hand or just unmute yourself.
She's got her hand raised.
Okay. Can you unmute her? I don't see her.
Yes. Hi, I'm here, Helen. Can you hear me?
Hey, Carlene, how are you?
Fine. It's well, getting better. Thank you.
I'll stop share here. Okay. You don't have your camera on, but that is okay. No. So, Carlene, you had a $20,000 funding as your first funding. I know you worked really hard to get that client over the finish line. You want to share with everybody what what transpired, maybe how you met the client, what industry they were in, and
Sure.
some of the things that progressed along the way.
Okay, great, great. I thank you for having me to give this testimonial. I appreciate it. I guess the journey to my first funding, I started back in April 13 when I emailed about 50 letters introducing myself. You know, the letter that says, you don't know me type of thing. And I sent them to the Jacksonville area to about 50 restaurateurs. And actually my first client, I went back and checked, he was the number 7 on my list. And about 2.5 months later, on July 1, while I was leaving my groceries, I got this telephone call. And he said, oh, I got a letter from you about funding and some time back. And now I would like to receive some funding for his, he wanted to expand to fit out his second restaurant. Of course, at that time, I'm on the phone, I'm so excited. I thanked him and told him, oh, I'll call you back in half an hour. Actually, I was about only 5 minutes from my house, but I know I needed to get to Ellen. So as soon as I got in, I called and I gave Ellen the information. I said he's expecting a call back. And actually, Ellen called. I asked if she would call for me first, and she did. But it went to a voicemail. And just like Ellen said, when I called back, he did not recognize that number, so he hadn't picked up her call. But anyway, I explained to him that Ellen is one of the company directors, and that she's an expert in funding and that she would lead this call. And of course, you know, Ellen, she was just awesome, great. And she really made him comfortable, I guess, first she told him that she was a former owner of a restaurant. And of course, she can relate to the challenges in that industry. She asked the relevant questions. And of course, at the end of that, I forwarded to him his preference, which was to receive the information by text. And actually, that call was on the Friday before the long weekend, the long 4th of July weekend. So we thought, well, maybe I won't hear anything until maybe another week or so. But on the 6th, which was I think the Thursday, I received 2 emails. One saying that someone had just completed the first page. And then the second one was that indicating that the client had completed and signed the application. So I was excited about that. And then on July 7th, the next day, I received another email that all the documents were received. So now I'm really excited. But listen to this, after all that, after sending out all those emails, the following day I had to leave the country. I had to go out for some of the business that I was taking care of. And what happened is that I didn't realize that I was not going to be able to connect. I had connectivity issues on my email, my business email. And so that was a bummer because now there's no follow-up. I don't know whether or not the gentleman was going to be funded. And then something told me, oh, I had an old email, try this email and see if I can reach Ellen using that other email. And I did. And I said, please, would you be willing to double check for me to see if this gentleman received the funding for his outfit for the second restaurant? And believe it or not, with all the calls that she receives, with all the email, the text, and her different businesses, she took the time to check for me. And the next day, I had good news. She said, yes, yes, exclamation points about 3 or 4 times, that he received the funding of $20,000 and that I should have a commission once I can get into Relevate. But of course, I didn't get into that until I'm back, and I got sick, but I'm doing much better. But the bottom line, and Ellen was just great. She led all the way. She guided me, and I'm so appreciative for her. And I want to thank you publicly, Ellen, and may God bless you.
Well, thank you, Carlene. Well,
You're welcome.
I want to congratulate you publicly. I appreciate those kind words, but you know, you did the textbook example of going out and finding business owners. You know, you followed the training and you sent out emails. You picked a niche in the restaurant industry,
Yes,
and
I
you
did.
started sending out those emails. You didn't send all 50 of them at one time, did you? You sent them all individually?
I send them individually. The same day, but I send them individually.
Awesome. And that's exactly what we teach, is to individualize, put a separate subject line in each one of those, make it personal, but
Yes.
individual emails. And it took a little bit of time, but 50 of those emails out, and a couple of weeks later, a couple months later,
Right.
had someone follow through. So,
and on the subject, in
Go
the
ahead.
subject line for each one, I did as they would say, I said, I saw your, whatever the name of the restaurant, online listing, because I got them from online. So I said, instead of course, passing or saw your truck or whatever, I saw the name of the restaurant online listing.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Very good. Well, what we teach works. And
Yes.
Carlene, in that process, I know you've been so good to call. You went through the training before you started calling me. You made sure that you'd done your own due diligence about
Yes.
learning about DAC, right? And then
Yes,
when
I
you did start calling me and asking me for help, or would have a question that you would text me with, it was always, in my mind, it was always a pertinent question that, you know, may have easily been missed in there, or she had a client on the line. So I always appreciate your timing and doing your own due diligence, and then reaching out when you really do need help. So when you reached out to me and we were able to do that three-way call, which I do remember, and as you said, I connected with him on his level, having been a restaurant owner, and me having been a business owner, right? Was that a good educational experience for you as you listened on the phone as I was handling that call for you?
Oh, definitely. I learned a lot, and it was with ease. And I like the connectivity. Like, I mean, when you connected with him in that regard. And of course, that made him, well, yes, here's somebody who understands what I'm going through and will do their best to help. So that was good.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again. I'm glad you're feeling better, and glad you were able to be on tonight to share your story with everyone.
I appreciate it.
Great job.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. Harlequin, has Makisha joined us yet?
Actually, she has, but she actually has asked that we not call on her today. She actually, we need to keep her in our prayers. She is on here. She just got back from the ER. She's been having issues with COVID. So even amongst all of that, she's still managed to get 4 funding so far this month. So way to go, girl. And we look forward to hearing from you when you feel better. Okay.
Absolutely. Speedy recovery, and keep you in our prayers for getting well quickly. I'm going to go back over to our slideshow then, unless you had someone else, Harlequin, or if there's someone else that is on tonight that had a funding here in the past month or so. If you want to share your story, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to go back over to the slideshow. All right, we'll go back over here. I just got one more slide that I wanted to pull up, and that is, we mentioned this earlier about the residual plan. And Harlequin, I just knew you were going to say it has been payday. Today is the 15th, and I received this email today from Youngevity. So my question to you is, did you receive a residual commission? You know, last month and the month before, either mid-month or towards the end of the month, I've been covering how to get qualified to earn residual. So I wanted to bring this up as a spotlight. With the Youngevity Commission Plan, you can either get a check mailed to you or a paper check mailed to you. They mail it out on the 15th and it arrives a couple of days later, or you can do like I did, which is set up their hyper wallet. That way you get paid on the 15th. It goes into your hyper wallet account, very much like the DAC commissions get paid out to your Relevate account, where that money is available same day. Same thing with Youngevity. So remember, we've got two different pay plans. We've got the DAC commissions that gets paid directly from David Allen Capital for your funding, and that goes on to your Relevate account, and your residuals and other services that we market outside of funding get paid through a partnership with Youngevity. So either a paper check or the deposits there. So 15th of the month is residual payday, and I love getting this check. It tells you the amount and shows you the date, and then you can go log into the account. So if you did not get a check, I just want to, and I'll take this off of screen share here. Just want to remind you to be paying attention and be mindful of how many qualifying volume points you have. I won't go into detail. We've talked about it on previous Zooms, but your best bet is to go to the Agent Resource Center under the big green 3 at the top of the page, which is our commission videos and our pay plan PDF. If you'll open up the videos there, the third video in that trilogy series there is all about the residual pay plan with Youngevity. And David goes through and explains how you get paid, how you earn qualifying volume points. He talks about all the different products that David Allen Capital markets and the funded value that gets put in. But I also like to say that anything that you market or consume through Youngevity, those points go in and help you qualify. So for example, every month I take, or every day I take the 90 for Life liquid nutrition, the tangy tangerine. I take that. I can tell the difference in my eyesight when I take that liquid vitamin, and I use that daily. So I help qualify my points. If I needed extra points, they would qualify me with my volume, just because I'm purchasing that at wholesale through my own position with Youngevity, using my David Allen Capital agent ID number, right? I'm ordering that, and from time to time I'll order some of the energy drinks or the energy packets and different things that that I would use anyway. So instead of buying them at the grocery store, I'm buying them through Youngevity. They also have household items like laundry detergent. They have clothing items, you name it. There are many things where you could swap where you shop from spending money that you're spending anyway and buy it through your position at Youngevity and get yourself qualified with a minimum of 50 qualifying volume points. 100 is going to pay you deeper into the pay plan, and 150 and 200, 300 is the max that you need. But again, that's covered in the video. But I want you to be mindful of that, because a lot of you are leaving money on the table because either you or someone in your team is producing volume, and that volume, the qualifying volume, turns into bonus volume, and the bonus volume is what you actually get paid off of. So you could be earning several tens of dollars, hundreds of dollars, or thousands of dollars through the residual compensation plan. All right, so that was that on the slides. And now I wanted to allude to conversation that David started today with the leadership Zoom, where he was talking about feeling a hesitancy of putting out flyers. And as he explained all of that, it brought back to mind my days of getting started in the restaurant business. And I shared on today's Zoom that it reminded me of when I first started with Domino's Pizza in 1989. I started as a new manager trainee. They had, in the interview, they had picked me out to kind of fast track me through their program, hoping that I would be supervisor material. Well, when I got started, I had to go to work in a store, and I had to learn every aspect of the business, from delivering to making pizzas, answering phones, cleaning the store. Every single thing that an employee was expected to do, I had to learn to do as a manager trainee. And one of the first things after in this training where they didn't have to spend a lot of time training me on was to go out with the store manager where we were putting out flyers. So I want to take you back to this on your David Allen Capital business with Carlene's testimonial, how she was following the training and reaching out to business owners that she didn't know. She found them in an online listing. You can use, Chamber of Commerce listings. Doesn't have to be a chamber that you're a member of. We talk about that a lot, but you can go to most Chamber of Commerce listings and you can find the businesses that are a member of that chamber, and you can send them that personalized email. I saw you on the Douglas County Chamber of Commerce, or found you through Douglas County Chamber of Commerce. And then you don't know me directly, but I just wanted to introduce myself and follow the scripts that are in the workbook on the Agent Resource Center, the Super Saturday workbook. When you start about page 49, you'll find dozens of scripts in there, from the email scripts, the templates, the text messaging, introducing to your warm market, or having your upline be in the middle of an introduction, right? But you want to reach out to your local community, or you could pick a city and just market by email to a neighboring city. Doesn't have to be your local community. But what we're talking about right now, and what I did with Domino's, and then I did it again. I duplicated that not only with Domino's, but opening my own business and opening a second business. We took that cookie cutter method, or their system, and we duplicated it every time we opened a new store. And when you are a new agent with DAC, you're a new store, you're a new agency in your local community, right? So if you take the new store attitude, new business owner attitude, and sit back and look at your community and go, okay, how do I launch my business? How do I have a grand opening here and let everybody know that I'm open for business? Trust me, if you had spent tens of thousands or probably hundreds of thousands of dollars opening a franchise, whether it be a Marco's Pizza or a Wendy's or whatever franchise, or Subway, whatever you had invested money in, you would be following the training to get the message out to your community to let people know that you were there, right? Well, the same deal goes with DAC. So when I went through that process of going out door to door, I got in the car with the store manager, and the two of us went out. We would park the car at one end of a neighborhood street, and we would walk the entire street. People would see us coming, and we were just out shaking hands, meeting and greeting our neighbors and introducing ourselves and letting them know, hey, do you know Domino's just opened? We're only 2 miles away and you're part of our delivery area. We wanted to come bring you a menu in case you'd like to order pizza for your family, right? That was exactly what we were doing, with a big smile on our face. And in a lot of cases, we would get an order while we were there. They would give them the number and the phone number, and they would call and place an order with the store, and we'd have deliveries going out while we were still in the neighborhood. That's exactly the way marketing works with David Allen Capital. You go out, you meet, greet, and inform, just introducing yourself and letting people know in your local community that you are their go-to reference for David Allen Capital, business funding, right? Now, you may not go door to door through neighborhoods like we did, but you certainly want to go door to door through the business community. And then taking advantage of your local Home Depots and Lowe's and all these different parking lots where you've got business contractors that are coming back day after day. I noticed a couple of weeks ago, Matthew Duhame, who is normally in South America, is here in the States working right now. And he was so excited because he had been targeting a Home Depot parking lot. And he shared that he would go and look for the new trucks, and he would go introduce himself or put his drop cards on their window. And then he'd take a break and go have a cup of coffee and take a break for about an hour. And then by the time an hour passed, all of these vehicles have totally turned over, pretty much new vehicles, replacing the ones that were there. And he would go back and have a whole new target audience. I thought that was a great idea. But it's the business mentality of launching your business that will really set you above the others with David Allen Capital. The ones that are having success are the ones that are following a plan of action and reaching out to their community or to business owners in another community and following the training that we have. Those of you that haven't quite got started yet, maybe you're timid, maybe that email campaign is the best method. So you don't actually have to talk to people. But I know there's this fear when we all get started in anything new. There is a fear, the fear of the unknown, right? And fear of looking incompetent. And that fear is just absolutely natural, no matter what it is that you're taking on new. But shortly after you get started taking action with that new skill set that you're learning, you'll start becoming a pro, you know, whether it's learning how to play a new card game. I had friends over yesterday and they were talking about pickleball and how awkward it felt when they first started playing, but in just a few minutes after a few strokes with their pickleball paddle, they were learning how to hit the ball the correct way. So just think of it that it's a new skill that you're acquiring. You're taking the training, but no matter how much training you attend, until you start implementing the training and start having conversations and putting yourself out there with business owners, you're not going to see the success that you want. But back to that painting your town blue comment that David always talked about. You know, I go back to my pizza days, we had a delivery map on the wall in every single store. We had a big blown up map of our local delivery area and had it marked off with a magic marker. So maybe you want to have a blown up map of your local community, your county, your city, or whatever, and then look at it and kind of analyze the business community in there and take that and maybe mark it off with a highlighter when you have gone through that particular community until you've covered the entire area and gone through and at least introduced yourself. I know we did that when we would go out and do the meet and greet, and then on an ongoing basis, not just the meet and greet once, but we would go out and do what we call door hanging, where you take the flyers. I know that every one of you on here have probably had a door hanger hung on your doorknob on your front door or on your mailbox post or somewhere where there's a loop in it and a place to hang it on a doorknob that's got discounts and announcements about the specials, right? We did that on a weekly basis with our restaurant marketing, because you've always got to be in front of the customer to be top of mind with them. Same thing with David Allen Capital. So if you really want to have success here in your marketing, you just got to follow traditional marketing strategies, follow the training that we put out there, and then follow some of the leaders, the examples that you see on our Agent of the Month interviews, Harlequin and her networking, Shantae Roddy and her online building a business base there, Jebecca and his doing reels and getting in front of people there, having an audience follow him. It's just immeasurable what you can do, but the main thing is you have to do something. You have to take action and start moving forward. So that was really my message that I wanted to share tonight. Harlequin, do you have any questions or comments in the chat? Or if any of you guys have questions tonight, feel free to raise your hand with the reactions, the virtual hand raise button there, and we can discuss anything that you want.
Okay.
Anything there, Harlequin?
I don't see any questions in the chat, but I was just kind of looking really quickly, and yeah, you were asking about if I've gotten my check from Youngevity. I actually like to get the physical check, so
I know you
mine will be arriving in a few days. But I was looking, and I actually started getting Youngevity residual checks almost a year prior to me getting my first funding. So I've been getting residual checks from Youngevity for over, like 2 years now. Every single month I've gotten one. And that's because when I couldn't get a funding, I went out and I got identity theft customers. I went and got some product, other products and services that we have available. So I got my volume in other ways. So just something to think about, especially if you have a big team and you've got volume on your team, that money adds up. And a lot of times if you do end up deciding to order products for yourself or have somebody else order them, most of the time that check will more than cover what you have in your cost, so you get free product. So
my ears are going down.
yeah.
No, inside my ear. It's really inside.
Yes. But that was my comment on that. So anyways, and let's see, okay. Ray is asking, I've run it into a lot of business owners that ask about grants. Will DAC be offering grants? We don't make any money on that. That's free money that's being given away, people. So yeah. Then the other question, and do you have any other comments on that, Ellen?
No, I don't. And you're welcome to take that. I've got a client landed and is texting me right now.
Okay, no problem. That's teamwork, right?
You got it.
But yeah, I mean, with the grants, they're looking for free money, and it's hard to find that. And it takes a lot of effort to get a grant. But now Victoria is asking, am I allowed to set up a private Facebook page just for my team? And absolutely, yes, you can. Just make sure you don't use David Allen Capital or Bank Breezy in that Facebook group name. That is perfectly acceptable. And there's a lot of people who have team pages. And I think that's all of the questions that I see here, Miss Ellen. We've got a quiet group. Did anybody else have any other questions or want to share a success or anything? Okay, Amy, you've got your hand up, so go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay.
What's your question today?
Well, I was wanting to get started in canvassing my local businesses that are in my area around where I live. And I wasn't sure if there was any kind of script, whether you just go off the cuff or what when you do that.
Yeah, it is in the Agent Resource Center in that handbook. Let me go there. I'm gonna do screen share. Back to Google Slides. Can you see the new window opening, Harlequin? Yes. Okay, Agent Resource Center. Okay, Amy, so I referenced this earlier, the Super Saturday workbook. So if you go here under Business Services Training, this blue link is a clickable hyperlink that takes you over to the handbook. And in that handbook, when you get to page 49, I believe, it's going to give you several different scripts, including what to say when you walk into a business. That's also covered in the business funding training, but if you want to see it in print, you've got those details here. Let me get back to that around 49. Yeah, under the appendices, filling out, working your funnel, texting, warm market, email of cold calling, email text, upline referral script, which I was referencing, and so on. But it's just really simple. Canvassing is doing exactly what I said. You're going in, you're introducing yourself, and meet, greeting, informing, meeting the business owner, greeting them. hey, you don't know me directly, but I live in the community and I wanted to stop in and introduce myself. I specialize in small business funding. If you ever find yourself looking for capital that you can't get from your local bank or the SBA, we probably can help. And just saying, I'd like to leave you some information if you run into that need in the future, or if you know another business owner that might be in that situation. Or you can talk, I like leading with lines of credit. Harlequin can testify that opening with lines of credit is a great door opener with those conversations. You want to elaborate on that, Harlequin, after we launched that product and the reception that you started getting in the networking groups that you were going to?
Sure. And yeah, with the lines of credit, just so you guys know, it is a little bit more difficult to qualify. So make sure that the business that you're speaking to is able to qualify for that. You don't want to get their hopes up. But a lot of times they're wanting to have a little bit more flexibility as far as getting the funding, and you know, it's less costly if they're wanting to do it for short-term timeframes. But what I've found is they're a lot more receptive to it because they're like, oh, well, I can get this money and it's not going to cost me as much. So a lot of times it is a cost thing. But the other thing is that those business owners that do get a line of credit, they end up using it over and over and over and over again. I've got one client that they've gotten funding, or they've done a draw about 5 times now, plus they opened up another account for one of their other locations. And every single time I get paid on it. So that's always nice. And I never know that the money's coming. It just, David sends me an email and says, oh, hey, congratulations. They took another draw on their money. And I'm like, this one particular client, I've never even spoken to him. It was a referral, and everything has been done via email. So you never know, but I definitely have had a lot more response from people who are, especially the bigger businesses. If they're doing over 20,000, 30,000, they're much more interested in the line of credit.
So speaking of bigger businesses, Harlequin, do you ever try to market the gig worker page? Do you ever try to market to using that gig worker self-employed page? Do you use that?
I do not. And to be honest, I've only had one giggle application submitted. And as soon as they submitted it, I contacted them and they didn't even qualify. So they never even finished the application.
And why would you not market that page? There are more self-employed people and more gig workers than there are true business owners that are doing 5,000 or more in revenue. But why would you not market that page?
Well, it's not that I don't market it. I do let people know that it's available. But to be honest, in general, I'm targeting the larger size businesses that are doing 15 to 20,000 or more, mostly because if I'm going to spend an hour of my time talking to a client or talking to a group of clients or whatever, I would much rather have the ability to get a funding for what I think the average for a Bank Breezy is 40,000. I'd much rather go after a $40,000 client that I can get, a commission on than a giggle client that at most the most they can get is 5,000, and we only get paid on 70% of that, and I have to wait until the middle of the following month. So if you can, if the big thing is for those of you who are just getting started, if it's more in your comfort zone to talk to somebody who is self-employed and is a giggle client, then by all means go and talk to them. Make your mistakes with those people, okay? When you're explaining business funding, you know, you can screw those up very easily and it's not going to hurt you. But when you're talking to a larger size business, you typically only have one shot at making a first, well, you definitely only have one shot at making a first impression, but they usually don't give you a second chance if you make a bad impression. So use those giggles to, those giggle clients to figure out what you need to say and how to say it. And then build yourself up to the bitty advanced clients that are making the 5 to 15,000. Build your confidence level up so that okay, yeah, now I get it now. I can do this. And get a couple of bitty advanced clients and get the commissions on that. And it's amazing how much your confidence level skyrockets whenever you get a couple of successes behind you, and then you can go on and move up to the next higher level. Because, you have to have confidence when you're talking to larger size businesses. So that's just kind of how most people build up that confidence level. I've dealt with larger size businesses most of my career. So like I said, I'd rather go after a client that, the last funding I got, my commission was 5 figures. So, and it took a little bit longer, but anyways, so yeah.
Yeah. So, and essentially, in most cases, it's going to take you the same amount of time and the same effort to get a larger client funded as it does a smaller client, because the clients that qualify for giggle and bitty advanced, a lot of times they have a lot of questions. They're hesitant, or they go through the process, they don't qualify, they want to know why. So you're really going to spend the same amount of time with either of those. And like Harlequin said, get a bigger commission, get paid daily rather than the giggle commissions, which are really small. You mentioned the averages there, Harlequin, with Bank Breezy. Average funding is about 40,000. The average giggle client is $1,000 funding, and $1,000 times 70%, you get paid as if it was a $700 funding, right? So 700 times 3%, if it's your first funding, that means you're going to make $21 off of the average giggle client versus $1,200 off of the average Bank Breezy client. 40,000 times 3%, right? So you rather go for the $21 commission or the $1,200 commission? For me, it's a simple answer to spend my time more wisely with those higher dollar clients. Now, I saw in the chat popping up as Harlequin was talking, some of you are saying, well, how do you know what industry to go after? Or how do you know where to find those businesses that are doing the higher revenue? It's really simple. If someone does not own their own location and they're paying rent in a strip center where they've got a fairly high dollar rent, they're in a brick and mortar retail location, they're probably doing at least $15,000 a month. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to afford rent. So going out and talking to these businesses that are in a brick and mortar retail location is a good start. Okay. Also looking at our industries, where one of our largest industries is in the construction space. Any of the different contractors, whether it be roofing, framers, HVAC, plumbing, all of the different contractors that make up the construction space, those are one of our largest arenas. Also, we do a lot with dental offices and medical offices and home health care facilities. Again, you want to look at the size of the business. Do they have a retail location? How many employees do they possibly have, and so on? If you're dealing with a single mom and pop that's a work from home, a lot of times that's going to be a lower revenue business than one that has several employees out there. And also another thing, if you're seeing vehicles on the road that have the branding for the company, they're probably doing significant revenue versus someone that does not have any type of logo or advertisement on their vehicle. So those are some of my thoughts. Or if you see billboards, they're spending money on those ads. And those that have joined the chamber that I mentioned and some of these business associations, usually you're going to find those are businesses that are really more established. They've got the money to put into their marketing campaigns, and they've got a business owner that really has that business acumen to get into the community and start trying to drive their sales even higher. Harlequin, do you have any other suggestions on finding those businesses or knowing who to target on those businesses that are doing 15,000 and up?
Yeah, one of the things that I've used is you can access it through your local library. You can go online, and it's called Data Axle, DATAAXLE. And you can access it through the reference section of your library. You'll have to have a log on to get into it. But with that, it lists, there's like over 5 million businesses that it has listed on there. And you can actually go and do a search based on your area. I mean, you can put a pinpoint on there, and you can say, I want all the businesses within 10 miles of this pinpoint. You can do it by zip code, by city name, all these different things. But you can also go and say, I want to target electricians that are making, well, you have to do it on an annualized basis. So I want electricians that are making over $250,000 a year, and they have 3 or more employees. You can go and specify down to that level, and it will go and give you all of the details of those businesses in your area. And that is a very good resource, because then it gives you a feel for what type of revenue they're doing. It also goes and tells you if they've got, now this is their business credit, but it does show you what their business credit looks like as well. So that can sometimes be helpful to know that.
Good pointers for sure. All right. Any other questions or comments or hands raised? I don't see any hands raised.
Eric Brooks has his hand up.
Okay. Sorry, Eric. I scrolled over a screen and missed you. How are you doing tonight? You can unmute yourself.
Hey, Ellen, hey, Harlequin, how are you doing?
Awesome. Good to hear from you.
And likewise, I know I've been missing out a little bit for the past couple of weeks. Started
Been missing you.
Started Ubering, so yeah. I finally got out early today. I made sure I would be here for the call tonight. So, I had a quick question for Harlequin. I remember a few weeks ago, you were saying that you were for the line of credit, you were targeting like dentist offices and doctor's offices and things of that nature. And I wanted to find out, because I actually started looking into that, and I wanted to find out, how do you present that to the doctors and dentist offices? Because I remember you were saying something about the line of credit can kind of offset their accounts receivable if they have a shortfall or something like that. So I just wanted to know how you actually present it to those offices, so I can probably try to like follow suit.
Okay. Well, I'll admit that the line of credit client that I was talking about is a physical therapy office, and that was actually a referral from somebody. So I didn't actually go out to do that. However, had I done so, mostly I just let them know, hey, this will help you in those situations where you've got accounts receivable, and sometimes those get backed up. And wouldn't it be nice to know that you don't have to worry about, do I have enough money for payroll? If some equipment breaks down and you have to get it repaired or replaced, you have the money available, so you can just go ahead and do it. All you do is log into a portal and request the money, and they immediately send it to you. So with a line of credit, you're able to go, and even if you don't need it right exactly now, it costs less than $50 to get it set up. So you have access to potentially 1 to 2 times your monthly revenue, up to a maximum of 100,000. And, normally we start you off at a maximum of 55,000, and then they'll build you up to 100. But it's something that, most business owners love having they love knowing that if they ever need it, it's there and it's not going to tie up your collateral. So, it's kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a safety net.
Yeah, safety net, exactly. And, sometimes they may have money to go and cover that shortfall, but it may take a couple of days to get to it, or a week, or they might be in the middle of trying to get some longer term funding, but it hasn't arrived yet. So they need something short term just so they can get by until that comes through. So it's a wonderful, opportunity for them to have that safety net in place. And like I said, if they go and, I don't typically tell them the details, but I just tell them it's less than $50 to get it set up, because they do have to do at least a draw of $1,000 to activate it, which there's a 3% draw fee. So that would be $30. And then it's anywhere from 0.69 to 1.39% per week. So, even if it's at the highest amount, it's still going to be less than $50 total just to have it outstanding for a week.
And
Gotcha.
that doesn't show up on outstanding credit either, does it, Harlequin?
No, it does not show up on their credit report. However, if they're trying to get a line of credit from one of their suppliers, most of our lenders are willing to be a reference for them, which is huge. So it's not going to show up on their credit as an outstanding debt, but yet, unless of course they don't pay it, in which case it will be on their report. But it allows them the ability to get a reference for a line of credit, or for, if they're looking for terms with their supplier, they want to have it net 30 or something like that. So
Okay,
that's a wonderful opportunity for them.
well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That gave me a lot more insight.
Awesome. Good stuff. Great question there. One thing I would add to that too, Eric, is that, if you run into a business owner that says, well, I already have a line of credit with my bank, I like to plant that seed in their minds of, I understand, but remember when COVID hit, a lot of these banks were pulling back those lines of credit, or taking them away entirely, or reducing them. Our lenders won't do that to you. So it's always nice to have this as an additional source of revenue should you ever need it. So I love putting that out there and getting them to think when they say they don't think they need it.
That's a good one. Thank you.
You bet. Awesome. Thanks for the question. Okay, anybody else before we wrap up here? Any questions in the chat that we didn't answer? I think we got all those. We did the data axle. I posted that, and I think we've covered everything. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate your time and your commitment to be here. And we appreciate all that you're doing, bringing on new team members and working with your team members and helping grow your David Allen Capital business. And as you're growing your David Allen Capital business, we're growing as a company and as a team. So I appreciate your efforts. Appreciate your being here, whether you're here live or watching us on the replay. Our next Zoom is our corporate Zoom coming up on Friday at 11:30 a.m. David announced today that we don't quite have the Relevate launch ready. If something comes to pass before our Zoom, he would announce that and we'll have a special training, but I'm not anticipating that. So just expect that our next Zoom will be Friday unless you hear good news in between. Okay. All right. Go forth and multiply. We'll see you on the next Zoom. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.